Hello everybody, today I want to show you how you can use your chord progressions to create nice melodies. I'll start with a few simple concepts and then go more advanced. In this tutorial I'm going to assume that you already have a chord progression that you want to work with. The simple solution is to always stay on the chord notes for your melodies. You will think about a nice rhythm, move the notes over the chord notes, and you're done. The advantage here is that the melodies always sound harmonious because all the notes are already used for the chords. This technique is especially useful for background melodies. However, some chord notes are better suited for melodies than others, and I will show you how you can find them. First of all, it is important that you put your chords in the closed root position. That is, you avoid inversions and open chords and always use the basic form of the chords. The root note of the chord is especially popular for bass lines. For melodies, however, the second and third notes of the chords are even more important. But which of them do you use? At this point we want to look again at major and minor chords. As you know, minor chords tend to be more sad, somber or serious. Major chords, on the other hand, are more happy and cheerful. These two types of chords differ only in the second note, while the first and third notes are the same. So if you want to emphasize the sad or happy nature of the chord, you should use the second note. And if you want to leave it more open, you should use the third note. Okay, so far we've been looking at concepts that are mainly interesting for background melodies. For lead melodies, however, we usually need more tension and variation. The best way to do this is to use scale notes. We will work with the same scale that we also used for the chord progression. But which of these notes do we use and when? The tonic is always a good choice. In principle, you can use it again and again, but it's a good idea to use it right at the beginning or end of a melody because it makes it clearer which scale you are using. Also, for each chord, you can use the scale notes above and below the chord notes. For example, let's take the second note of an E minor chord. It is a G. On the C major scale, the F and the A are next to it. In most cases, you resolve the tension downward. So in our example, you would pick the A and go back to the G from there. Every once in a while though, it's good to resolve the tension upward so that you surprise the listener a bit. Bonus tip. Sometimes the resulting melodies can sound a bit too dissonant. In this case, you can try out whether it sounds better to use only the notes of the pentatonic variant of the scale instead. For example, instead of C major, you could try out C major pentatonic. The notes of the pentatonic scale are chosen in such a way that they don't sound dissonant. Okay, so far we have looked at two different options for additional notes. 1, the tonic of the scale. 2, the neighboring notes of the chord notes. Now we come to a third option, stepwise motions. In this method, we connect a start note and a destination note. For this we take scale notes that lie between start and finish. This makes it easier for the listener to guess which note is coming next. It also allows us to soften large jumps between more distant notes. You have different options for your scale runs. Running up to the next note, running down, or running in the opposite direction. You can use only one note or many notes. And you can also use a zigzag run. So now you know which notes you can use for your melodies. But how do you connect the notes to create a story? The solution? Think in blocks. Divide your melody section into different blocks. For example, start with block A, think about the basic rhythm and compose a little phrase. Then go over to block B. Block B can be a copy of block A, but with variations. Or you can consider block A as a call to which a response is given in block B. It makes sense to take similar elements and apply them again and again. Of course, you can also use this concept to create even longer melodies. To do this, simply copy your block sequence again and then add variations, especially at the end. A few things that are important for blocks. rhythm and rests. If a rhythm is interesting enough that even a single note sounds good with it, then it's good for a melody as well. And rests are just as important. If you fill the whole timeline with notes, then your melody will become boring and tiring quickly. You need pauses to build up tension. These pauses can also be used right at the beginning. You don't have to start playing at the first chord. What else is important for our melodies? First, the range of the notes. It depends on the genre, but typically the notes shouldn't span more than 1 octave. That way, most people can still sing along just fine. Also, you typically use a higher range in the chorus than in the verse. Second, contour. Contour is the curve of your melody. If you start at the bottom and run upwards, it sounds uplifting. If you run downwards, tension is relieved. Also, roller coasters are used quite often. Here you run up and then up again, down again, and so on. It's a good idea to start with big waves and then add smaller waves on top. You can use all these concepts to improve a melody that you aren't satisfied with. Does it sound too harmonic? Then you should play more scale notes outside your chord notes in some places. Does it sound too disharmonic? Then use more chord notes than scale notes, and don't play notes outside your chords for too long. Does your melody sound too jumpy? Add stepwise motions. Is your melody too boring? Add more pauses to create tension. And now I'd like to show you a way to create a melody instantly from any chord progression. It's like a magic shortcut for melody writing. You only need 3 things: a DAW, the Chord Potion MIDI plugin, and a chord progression. Our chord progression sounds like this and is written in E minor. Chord Potion is a MIDI effect plugin that can convert any chords into other phrases. You just put it between the chords and the synth and you're ready to go. Chord Potion is very powerful and can do a lot of different things. For this tutorial we use the preset bassline gallop 1 as a basis because many settings are just right here. With a click on Edit we get to the sequencer view. Now click on Reset and we can start. If we use the bassline gallop 1 preset, Chord Potion is very easy to understand. A 0 is the first note of the chord, a 1 is the second note of the chord, a 2 is the third note of the chord, and so on. For example, a simple arpeggio looks like this. We now set the pattern to 16 steps and drag our notes a little further apart. For melodies, we want to take mostly the second and third notes, so we set many steps to 1 or 2. If you hold down Ctrl or Command, you can make copies of your notes very easily. So far, we have only stayed on the chord notes, but now we want to use scale notes as well. To do this, we click on the small box below the note trigger. Here you can apply various effects to the notes. To create a scale note, we need to set the probability of randomized note move to 100% and then select Scale plus 1. This effect moves the note one step further on the scale. Chord Potion now tells me that I can set the scale on the main page, so I click on OK and set it to E minor. So this is our block A. Now we create a block B. For this we set the steps from 16 to 32. Chord Potion automatically creates a copy on the second page. And now we make a few small changes. And now we do the same trick again. We double the steps from 32 to 64 and go to the last page. I press Ctrl or Command again and create matching copies. And now I make a small scale walk, like a zigzag curve, starting from the third chord note. And one last trick. As I said before, it's a good idea to include the tonic at the start or end. To do this, set randomized note move to 100% and choose close scale tonic. By the way, Chord Potion always records the MIDI notes up here. You can use drag and drop to export the result to your DAW. And voila, here's our melody. Another bonus tip, it's a good idea to use chords in close root position as your input. But you can also click on CFX and use Set to Calculated Closed Root Position. Chord Potion will then automatically calculate fitting bass chords for you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please click on like if it was helpful and see you next time.